Okay, so the goal is to build a robot that can find its way through this maze. The robot knows where it starts, which is one corner of the maze, and is trying to get to the middle. The middle is the square there that has one post in it. So there's 4 squares in the middle. Any of those would be a legal goal. It knows that this is a grid made out of 16 squares by 16 squares, and it knows that each of those squares is 18 centimeters from center to center. So, but what it doesn't know is where we put the walls this time. And so the walls are before a run, then you get a bonus of 2 seconds. And if you do touch it, then you lose that. And so there's a benefit to trying to make it autonomous. Unfortunately, it turns out that as the entry is running through the maze, it usually... From the University of Portland. I think this is their first time at APEC, and we're delighted to have them here. If we could wish it in, we certainly would. Can it go? Can it go? There it goes. This is an entry that has 6 wheels. So it has 3 drive wheels on each side. Many of the ones that you've seen so far have 2 drive wheels on each side, so the so-called modern 4-wheel drive machine. This one is designed with 6, and the difference is that the center set of wheels are 0.5 millimeter lower than the other sets of wheels. So this vehicle has the ability, when it's going on a straight, it has, usually it'll rock a little bit, but it rocks back on 4 drive wheels, and so it accelerates really well. It brakes on 4 other drive wheels, so it brakes really well. And when it turns, it tends to turn on the middle set of wheels, and so it turns very accurately. The 4-wheel drive ones, everybody knew that they do really, really well on the straights, but we never really were sure at the beginning whether they would do well on the turns. But because we have gyroscopes on our entries, we're able to get through the turns even though the tires tend to skid. So you're turning a little bit like a tank when you're turning, because we use one motor to drive 2 wheels on either side. Whoa, that was impressive. Speaking of tank, there is an express rule that says that you can't go over the walls, you can't go through them, you can't knock them down. So the gyroscopes have made a huge difference, and when they were introduced, the performance of the entries went way up. The thing that we haven't been able to do yet is to use something inertial for the forward correction. So you might think of an accelerometer, for instance. The problem is, if you want to get position out of an accelerometer, you have to integrate it twice. So double integration is almost always a bad thing, right? Any kind of drift, any kind of offset accumulates very quickly. So in general, people have not been able to get the accelerometers to give them the inertial forward position. Sometimes, there's one fellow in Japan that uses it together with his encoders. He has encoders that don't have very many counts because he's making them by drilling holes into his drive wheel, and then he has a little, so he has maybe 16 pulses or something. So this entry is going to take a picture of the maze from the start. Go ahead. Yeah, this time starts when he leaves the start square. So it's going to take a picture of the maze. It has a camera. That's you can read about it, but basically on a little stalk, it's going to go up, take a picture, a couple of pictures, bring it back down. It's going to think about it, and then when it's ready to go, it'll take off. And in our rules, your time on the maze actually begins only when you leave the start square. So he's not penalized for any of this time.
Let's go.
And now it's going to be thinking. Thir 30 seconds to do the computations. So it's take this funny picture of the maze and then it flattens it so that it's as if it was from an overhead view. And then it uses that. It tries to align where the posts are so that it knows where the walls are supposed to be, and then it does its calculations on that. Here we go.
That's awesome. Wow. Oh, wow.
It's not quite in the lead with the Taiwanese entries. We'll see how well it does. It's usually bad to talk about it, but I will anyway. So this one is bidirectional. It's completely symmetric. And so it doesn't turn around when it gets to a dead end. That's not worth a great deal. But it turns out that I like to have sensors at the front and the back when I'm going down diagonals. It helps me to understand whether the entry is heading in the wrong direction and keep that separate from whether it's offset. So that if I'm heading in the right direction but I'm slightly on one side or the other, I want to do something different than if I'm actually heading toward a wall. The other thing that I decided that I could do is if I'm retracing my steps and there's a diagram. So the question is, why doesn't the person with the camera get rid of the camera after he takes his picture? So there turns out to be a specific rule that says that you can't leave anything behind in the maze. And so that's part of that. Originally there was some feeling that, you know, maybe you'd like to get rid of batteries or something like that. You could get rid of them. I don't think people originally thought about a camera, but you're not allowed to leave anything behind. So somebody said oil slick, can you leave an oil slick? So if the contest organizers feel that you're damaging the maze, then you can be disqualified. This is a really friendly contest. People are very cooperative in terms of telling everybody about what they've done. So, you know, basically everybody talks during the contest and then everybody goes back to their corner and regroups for the next contest, and then they all compare notes again. So we have 4 entries from Taiwan this year. We have 2 entries from Japan, you just saw 1. And we have 4 teams from the US. And 2 teams from the UK.
Will this start on its own? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And on that contest, the maze size and everything was pretty much the way it is today, but the start was on one edge and the goal was on one edge. So this was introduced at the time when the microprocessor first came out. Everybody was all excited about this contest. A lot of people came, a lot of people made entries, but it turned out the one that won did not have a processor on it. It was a wall flower. And it just had a motor and an arm and a switch, and it was able to get to the goal, get through the maze, because the goal was on the outside. And so the people in the United States were very depressed because the brand new contest turned out to be not what they had hoped for. But a very, to all the countries that they thought would be able to participate, and they had this giant contest in 1985. So it turned out at that contest, he won in Japan, so he was the best at that time. We'll see how he does today. The unfortunate side effect of being really good is that you end up going really last, which is usually fairly nerve-wracking. Is that there are certain patterns that demonstrate the capability of the mice, and so they try to incorporate those, and there are certain patterns that are trouble for the mice, and they try to incorporate those. And so straightaways demonstrate their high speed, long diagonals demonstrate their control, right? And there are certain patterns that are not very favorite. There's none in them in this particular maze, but there's one where the mouse has to go through a series of where all it sees are posts, and so it's like a cone. So it's like here, and you go this way, and there's just walls. And so you're going down this section, and you don't see walls alongside you, you only see the posts. And so you get information very infrequently, and it's very different than when you can circle off the walls all the time. And so those are patterns that are often put in. And then if you think that the contestants are really good, then you're going to try to make as long a maze as possible. And the last thing is, it's unclear when you leave the start square whether you're going to sort of turn left or right at the first Y. And it would be nice if those two patterns. Please don't take flash pictures. Hu with a score of 9.815. Congratulations. Okay, second prize goes to Di Gao with a score of 10.350. Congratulations. And third place goes to Tetra with a score of 11.837. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, we have two other prizes. The prize for the fastest run goes to Tetra with a time of 6.987. Congratulations. In Japan, this would give him the first prize because they don't do the scoring system. And then we have one more prize for the best student entry. So all of the 4 students from Taiwan, all of the 4 entries from Taiwan were all students. And so the one that won the contest also had the best student entry. So that's Dao Hu. Congratulations. So thank you, audience. You guys did a great job, and I enjoyed having you all here, and I hope you enjoyed watching the contest.